Okay, good morning, everybody. My name is George Morrill. The time is 9:04 a.m. I'm going to call this special called meeting of the County Commissioners Court to order. Today is Monday, 2022. We are physically located at the B County Courthouse, Commissioners Courtroom, 105 West Corpus Christi Street, Beeville, Texas, 78102. That was the call to order. If everybody would please stand and join Mr. Willow in a prayer.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you today to ask for your guidance and your safety for everything that goes on in B County. Lord, we need some rain real bad, and please be with the Commissioners Court in all their decision making, especially the judge. We need this and we need it. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Willow. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. I'm giving myself a homework assignment. I'm going to re-memorize those two pledges because it's the indivisible or the one and indivisible that continues to give me mental problems. This is not confession, though, so we will move on to recognizing visitors. Are there any visitors who would like to identify themselves for the record? This isn't an opportunity for public comment. It's just to say this is who I am and I'm here. If you're planning on speaking a little bit later, if you'd like to make a public comment, you can introduce yourself at that time. Is there anybody that'd like to do so? I see none. So moving on. The Commissioners Court opening remarks. I believe, I could be wrong, but I think Commissioner Haggard, you're first.
Yes, not a whole lot going on. I think I saw the Beeville Fire Department leave yesterday afternoon to a spot out on Silver Creek. Then I think I saw the Mathis Fire Department, the Sweeney Switch at Mathis when I was headed back over there. But other than that, I have items on this agenda here. On our agenda today, we'll be speaking on them later. Also, a little, for those of you that know that I'm on the Beeville Area Partnership, in our last meeting, a lot of good things are coming. A lot of things that are laying in the edges. Most of the members of that that committee have been diligently working to bring more prosperous businesses to the county. We have several new interests coming in. They're kind of under wraps right now because they're in the middle of negotiations. But I think you will be happy with what comes to B County. Other than that, I'll turn to my commissioner on the right.
I had one meeting with BDA last week, and that was finalizing the contract for NEO. That's the rechroming outfit that's going to partner up with Steel Dynamics in Sinton. So they're just finalizing some numbers there so they can sign off on that and get that started. Road and Bridge, I had lots of calls. Thank you very much for Airport and Reyes Road on that corner. Man, I had a lot of phone calls. Appreciate that, Ray. Thank you. And worked on, I have an item on the agenda. It's on the storage, and mainly working with different departments and seeing what the retention and storage is so we can get, you'll hear about that in the due court today. I attended the Texas County and District Retirement System Conference in Austin for 3 days. A lot of good stuff that I learned and shared with John. Some of it was cyber stuff and how to handle some things here in the county. But I think you're on, right, John? On the little plugging thing. No? He doesn't want to do it. Okay. And then I had a meeting with the grant writer for the lift station, and that's coming up this afternoon at 2 o'clock. So that's all I got. I'll pass it on to Commissioner Newman.
Thank you, Commissioner. I have several things, if you will. And number one, everything is going very, very well in the precinct. Things are good. But I want to take you back several weeks to the tragedy we had in Toledo, where we had some folks perish in a fire. A couple of meetings after that, I remember bringing up to the court and to the public about we needed to start looking at the limbs on county roads. That has been actively pursued since then, and one county road was identified as needing immediate attention, which is Quail Trail, which is just north of Beeville. It's in part of the old Beeville State Park area. There was a state park in Beeville at one time. And anytime you live on a county road and the trees are growing over, it's a beautiful tunnel, if you will. Well, with all the rain we had last year and all, some of the limbs were hazardous. They were too low for fire trucks, too low for ambulances. And I have a kudos and I have a thank you. And the kudos go to Road and Bridge. They went in, did an excellent job of hand trimming that entire Quail Trail. And the thank you I have is for Ms. Janet Townsend. I contacted her, let her know she lives on Quail Trail, let her know what was going on, because it's going to impact their residents, if you will, and the other residents, the people that live down there, because of the trees overhanging the road. You become very possessive of your trees and trees that are near your road. And explain to her exactly why this had to be done, and that Road and Bridge would be as gentle as possible, that they wouldn't come in with their side boom landscaping tool that just goes down a fence line and cuts it. They did an excellent job, and once again, thank you to Ms. Townsend, and kudos to Road and Bridge. They did a fantastic job. I've heard nothing from the folks out there, which means that I know they weren't pleased that it had to be done, but when you explain to them that if an emergency happens at their home down there and you can't get an ambulance or fire truck to their residents to help them, it makes a difference. But I think the key is letting people know ahead of time we're going to do something like this so they can mentally prepare. And once again, thank you and kudos. So Ray, your folks did a fantastic job. Ms. Townsend, thank you very much. On that, I'll pass to my commissioner to the right.
Good job. Had some calls on some road issues out in Blueberry Hill. Got with Ray on that. He's going to follow up on that. Down trees on some county roads. Thank you, Ray, for getting all that taken care of. This past Saturday, I was asked to fly my drone over market days to take pictures and video and whatnot. That looked good, came out good. Also did the drainage ditch on Corpus Christi that runs under West Bowie. It goes around in the side of the junior high. From Corpus Christi to West Bowie under that bridge was horrible. So I went in there and I mowed it all down, weeded it all down, cut the bridge on both sides with tons of brush and trees and whatnot. There was no water that could really get through that. It was really bad, and you got two big culverts that are there for that purpose. So got all that cut out, cleaned out all the trees and brush, and then the bridge rails were just wasted, rotten boards and whatnot. So I went and replaced all the boards on both sides of the bridge rails so that everything is up standing good now. This coming Saturday, we're going to be cleaning up San Pedro Cemetery. It's really bad. I need volunteers to come out with push mowers and weed eaters and whatnot, and I'll supply everything else. We're going to start at 9 o'clock, and also La Cabana is going to provide breakfast tacos for everyone that's out there. So you need to try to be out there by 9. I'll get a head count and then let them know, and they'll bring them out, actually. San Pedro is out there off of Keeper Lane. So we're going to be doing that this Saturday. So with that, that's about it.
Thank you, Commissioner Lenny. I'd like to comment. I don't know if we did comment before. Commissioner Farias mentioned it briefly, but he was recently appointed, and we all read in the newspaper, by the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, to the board of directors of the TCDRS, which is our retirement system. But that's a big congratulations. And good job. Thanks for representing the not a lot to report. Last week I did spend the latter half of Thursday and Friday getting some judicial training on mental health crisis that we have in the state. The long summary of it is something the auditor doesn't ever want to hear, but it would appear that the state of Texas is still coming up with novel and unique ways to create obligations for the counties to complete, but failing to fund those obligations while at the same time reducing their services. We did learn that over the course of the next 24 months, 700 beds might be added to state hospitals hospitals. One of the biggest problems we have when it comes to mental health, the intersection of mental health and criminal law in the state of Texas and really the entire United States is that law enforcement is ill-equipped to handle the issues that surround mental health. And as our mental health crisis continues to expand, our law enforcement continues to bear the brunt of the burden of trying to deal with this issue. And again, it's not that they don't have the ability to do so, but they're law enforcement, and mental health is a different approach. We're very fortunate, our B County Sheriff's Office, our local mental health provider, all of our local law enforcement actually, from PD and our constables and Texas Parks, or not Texas Parks and Wildlife, but DPS, they all perform a yeoman's job on behalf of the entire community when it comes to mental health. And so it's no small issue to say that there are over 2,400 people in the state of Texas that are currently have been determined to be incompetent, who are awaiting placement at a state facility because there is no other place where these individuals can be housed. And in the next 2 years, the state of Texas, in its infinite wisdom, is building 700 new beds. So it doesn't stop the flow, and it doesn't relieve the pressure. And so far, the only solution is what creative ways can local government come up with to address the issue, because there is no support or practical solutions that are being provided by the state of Texas. So it was an interesting couple of days. Unfortunately, there's really not a lot of additional resources or tools that are out there to help alleviate our pressure. I can tell you we have one, maybe two defendants that are in B County jail, who are, one I know is awaiting a bed and has been for nearly or a little over 180 days. That wait time varies between, I think it's like 300 days to 700 or 800 days. And he's just one of 2,400. So it was interesting. Unfortunately, didn't really bring anything back that could impact, provide a solution to the members of our community that suffer from issues of mental health. We have several. Compassion always needs to be the primary goal, right after safety of others and safety of the individual himself. So interesting convention. Be looking forward to see what other solutions our state legislature has to assist the counties and local governments. Moving on, public comment. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to address Commissioners Court? Now is your opportunity. Hearing none, we'll move forward. Agenda item number 7. The following items are of an administrative nature. Commissioners Court has been furnished documentation on each item, and all such items may be acted upon by one vote without being discussed separately unless requested by a commissioner or a county judge. Move to approve. I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Second. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I'd like to commend the county clerk's office. Excellent job getting those meeting minutes in. Thank you, seriously, I mean it. This is a difficult job. It's for the members of the public that may not be familiar with the process. After we have a meeting, the meeting is recorded, and the entire meeting then has to be transcribed into written format, reviewed, make sure that it's correct, and then submitted to Commissioners Court at a later meeting for approval. And once those meeting minutes are approved, then everything is finalized and set in stone. Think of it as the curative period for concrete. So it can be a very daunting task. So I'd just like to thank Hope. I know you spent a lot of time working on it. Thank you for doing that. Thank you, Nicole, for making sure and giving her the support that she needed to complete that. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Agenda item number 8, approved county burn ban order prohibiting outdoor burning. I do have Mr. Garza here present. I'm sure he'd be more than happy to give us his 2 cents. I did inquire with him prior to the meeting. He, I don't want to steal his thunder, but he and the other local volunteer chiefs in the county recommend that we extend it for another 60 days. And that they will reconsider, they'll look at it and see if their recommendation might change after
Mr. Garza.
So, I can't hand it out. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ryan Garza. I'm the Emergency Management Director. Some of you may know, I'm also one of the Assistant Fire Chiefs for the Beeville Fire Department. So, this past week, I was asked, by one of the fire chiefs to evaluate about rescinding the burn ban once it expires or rescinding it before. I know the Skidmore, Tynan area got about 4 inches of rain with that last rainfall. But unfortunately, this weekend, those were our areas where we had our fires. Papalote had one where it started in a burn pit, jumped out, and burned somebody's RV down. Then we had another one that was later on in the day that was off the Silver Creek area. That one was another one that was a burn pit, lit it on fire, jumped out into some thick, dry grass, started to spread. And then we had one in Mathis on Sunday. We went to that one. The Forest Service had to come in and help with that. The situation doesn't look like it's getting any better. Unfortunately, the state of Texas has brought in more resources to Bee County in order to respond to fires throughout the south area. We also have a helicopter that is staged here. This is the first time we've ever had a helicopter staged in Bee County for wildfires. So the situation isn't getting any better. I know everybody thinks with that little bit of rain we got that it's enough to suffice, but it's not. With the success that we've had and we continue to have, and these strong winds, it's drying it out quicker than ever, and it's just gonna burn. So, I handed out to the court a couple of, explanations about how we determine, the KBDI, which is the number that represents the effect, or the net effect of evaporation and precipitation in producing cumulative moisture deficiency and the depth of the soil layer. So, basically, these numbers go from 0 to 800. That represents how much moisture is actually in the ground, up to 8 inches down into the soil. So currently, Bee County on the second page is, that was as of yesterday, and according to the page, it says this is typical for the late summer and early fall. Low to little dust layers contribute to fire intensity and will burn actively. So it's just proving this point that we're dry. Bee County is still we're in a drought. I know the city just issued the stage 1 drought restriction. So this past week for I think it's voluntary consumption of water. So just keep those things in mind. I know there's some of the fire department members here too. They can attest to it is bad. It's the worst it's been since I've been back here since 2012. So it's dry. So I think we need to extend it another 60 days. And then after 30, we can reevaluate and determine where we need to go from there.
Thank you, Mr. Garza. Gentlemen, are you all here on this agenda item?
No, sir.
Oh, okay, just checking. All right, thank you. At this time, I'd entertain a motion.
Move to extend the burn ban an additional 60 days. And, we all know that, anytime during 60 days, if we get, substantial rainfall, the judge has the authority to unilaterally rescind the burn ban.
Thank you. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion second. Any further discussion? Thank you, gentlemen. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes without exception. Thank you, Mr. Garza. Agenda item number 9, approve preventative maintenance service agreements between Schindler Elevator and Bee County for the Courthouse and Justice Center's elevators. And I understand, we do have an individual from Schindler who's available, by telephone to answer any questions. Part of looking at this agenda item, there were several, service agreements. If I can just give you the long and short over the entire issue, maybe we can, I can answer, in general, any questions that you have. The courthouse elevator went down, was it February 15 or March 15? February. It became operable, about 10 days ago. Thank you. It became operable about 10 days ago, thanks to Schindler Elevator, service company. Schindler is out of San Antonio. Schindler was an entity that, we finally reached out to after allowing our current, elevator service company about 4.5, 5 months of trying to fix the issue themselves. It became a very big issue where our district courts were losing a lot of patience with the fact
jurors, members of the public, defendants, parties to litigations, individuals who needed to access the district clerk's office, county employees, were putting themselves at risk based on, health issues in climbing our stairs, or they were unable to climb our stairs, and therefore were prevented from seeking whatever public resources it was that they were looking for. So we do have an existing, currently we have an existing agreement with Nueces Elevator. My intent is to terminate that agreement because this last instance of the county elevator not working for 6 months created a very bright exclamation point for us on how difficult it is when the service company that you need to jump when you have an issue is unable to due to other obligations, and I believe Nueces has the best intentions at heart, and it just didn't work out for them. So moving forward, I think we should go ahead and move forward with the relationship with Schindler Elevator. We called them initially because we wanted to see what it would cost to replace the elevator. That's kind of where we were in the thought process on our current elevator for it not working for so long. They came in, they were able to fix it. One of the things that they noticed while they were fixing it was there was a lot of oil and some leaking oil, and they identified that to be a persistent leak that needs to be fixed so that you don't just put more oil into the receptacle, which then ultimately leaks out. And so there's a service contract in here. There's a pre-service contract so that they can come and fix that leaky. And the oil, it's the elevator is safe to use. The oil leak is a slow, persistent leak that doesn't create a situation where the elevator is not going to work. It's just costing the county unnecessary expense, and it's something that could have been solved a long time ago, but it wasn't. The solution was just to add more oil at that time. And then the third agreement relates to our Justice Center elevator and getting it on the same service agreement that we're recommending this morning for the county elevator. Would y'all like to get the gentleman from Schindler on the line?
No, I think honestly.
I really don't think.
Yeah, he fixed it, they fixed it, I think we just move
That was
forward.
a long service agreement. Let's start figuring out.
It's also my understanding that the elevator reservoir in the Justice Center is also leaking, and they need to do it also.
Yes, sir.
From what I read in here.
Yes, sir. So, yeah. So hopefully with this new entity as well, they can quote and install new elevators as opposed to servicing them only. So it provides us again with another resource. The tech that came down and actually solved the problem for us, he used to work at Nueces Elevator. So when B County first contracted with Nueces Elevator, the gentleman from Schindler who ultimately fixed the elevator was the gentleman at Nueces Elevator who was originally working as that contract. Right. And then he left and went to Schindler, and so now he's back. And anyway, I'd like to thank him. I'd like to thank Andy and John and April and everybody else who worked diligently to try to find somebody who could fix our elevator and stuck with it and got our elevator fixed. So thank you all very much.
So the price for both of them, or?
And there's some options too.
Okay.
There's a 4-hour callback and there's a 24-hour callback. One of them is $700 a month, the other is $570 a month.
Right. Well, like those numbers, my candy wire. What do you gentlemen think? I think 24 hours is probably sufficient.
Should we ask John? Judge?
Sure.
He's the one that everybody hollers at when the elevator doesn't work. John, have
He's
you,
gonna say 4.
John, have you had a chance to review this packet?
I talked with Candy about it, she kind of, told me what was, kind of gave me the scoop of what was going on. I myself recommend Hager, just because it's, you know, it's a lot better service. We're gonna give the,
It also includes the large component.
Right, that's this one, right?
This one is
This one.
the one that includes major parts.
Right, Judge,
And this one is,
the basic and major parts, the 500 a month is just basic parts. John, what would be your recommendation?
I would say the higher.
The major parts?
Major parts.
So, Candy, which number is correct for the motion? I've got one that's 700, 8,400 annually. Is that for both?
Monthly, the other one is 6840.
Right, I've got this, but then here it's showing on this email. So that's the correct number a year, not this number?
Right.
Because this is just for the courthouse. Gotcha, that's what I would do. So that would be
it's going to be with both of them. The one that was in the package.
on the
Okay, thank you so much.
Then there was another 10,230, that's fixed.
Yeah, Candy, does this need to be a separate motion than the pre-service agreement, pre-maintenance agreement on the justice?
I just had to make it a separate one.
Okay. And this is and I'm sorry, it wasn't the courthouse, I guess it was
This is the one that has a
the
leak.
justice center.
Both of them are leaking. Both of them are leaking.
No, just the justice center.
That was my mistake.
Okay, I stand corrected. I thought this.
Yeah, I did too. You corrected me, so thank you.
Okay.
So, yeah, so that would be the cost for, thank you, Candy, to repair that.
So the motion basically would be, I'll make a motion that we terminate or cancel our existing contract and initiate a new contract with Schindler Elevator. And we go with the 4-hour response time, which is basic and major parts at $8,400 annually. And we also initiate the repairs on the Justice Center elevator, $10,230 to repair the leaking reservoir. Is there anything we missed in the motion? Judge?
I don't think so, actually. I think you did very well for one motion.
That's the motion.
An omnibus motion. I have a motion. Do I have a second? Oh,
I have a second move, Chris.
okay, got a second?
Absolutely.
Is this gonna include them coming on a regular basis every 6 months, every
Yes.
year?
Correct.
Yes,
It's in the-
it's in the
it's in the
contract.
package, yes,
It's in
sir.
the package.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay, good. I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes without exception.
And
Thank you.
I'd like to also put out a shout out, I think the fellow's name was Chris. He was on his knees in the elevator working on it one day when I came in, and he was working very diligently. He said, I'll have it ready by this afternoon by 5 o'clock, and he did. And thank you, Schindler, and thank you, Chris.
Yep, that's.
To echo what you said, sir.
Agenda item number 10, approve recommendation to have the policy formulation committee create a policy for the county's retention building located in the old jail at 202 East Corpus Christi Street to provide direction for the storage items placed in the retention building and include the requirement of each county department office to provide an inventory list of storage items, a retention schedule outlining the time frame for items of future disposal instructions, and a list of items that need to be retained for life. Commissioner Farias, this was your motion, longest motion in the history of B County Commissioners.
Haven't seen one that long.
It covers
You have
it
the
though,
floor.
it covers it.
All you gotta do is, we'll go have court over there so y'all can
Look at it?
look at it and have
I
a
don't want
hands-on,
to.
take a look at what the problem is over there. It's a mess. Everybody just goes and throws stuff over there. So I don't know what, we can get policy committee to create something. I don't know who's on the policy committee. We're fixing to hammer them here.
Candy,
Veronica,
Veronica, Hyman,
Mr. Castillo, Mr. Willow,
all of them.
at least some,
Thank you all in advance.
I mean, from,
Is John on the policy committee?
No.
No.
no, John gets to haul everything over there.
Yeah,
the
and
mover.
see, and what, of course, I recommended this because, Veronica, which is part of the team that does fixed assets, I believe we direction for John, because he's the one that's called on, to move these items, and it's direction for him and the departments to know what their responsibility is once he takes those items to that.
If I could throw something out, Commissioner Haggard and I were involved 10 years ago. Everything that went in there was thrown in and went up right to the ceiling, every room. It was a hassle to get all that stuff out of there. And it looks like about every 10 years, it's like, we need to move and throw everything away. I would recommend to the policy committee that you put something in policy that if that department doesn't say anything, everything that's in there is gonna be thrown out after so many years, period.
Well,
Period.
I'm gonna interject something here. There's 85 pages. Texas
I know.
State Library and Archives Commission
But-
and the rules
But,
of what can be
But
kept.
the departments,
And
follow
every
that.
department needs to, there's 4 items that I suggest. Okay, a lot of them aren't labeled, so the department needs to label. You need a storage date, a retention date, and a destruction date
Yes.
but
on those boxes.
Well,
or on those
after X number of months or years, it's thrown out and you lose
It
it.
cannot be thrown out.
I know
There's
that,
some stuff
but-
that,
I know
Some
that,
of it
but,
cannot
but
be.
yeah.
people are not doing what they should because it's out of sight.
Well, that's why we need
And,
the
and,
policy committee to come up with
and
something.
Fritz took it over and put it in there, but John doesn't know about it, Mary doesn't know, and it's packing up to the ceiling. There needs to be,
It's not all documented.
No, it's furniture
it
too.
needs to be,
There's all
there
kinds of furniture and stuff.
needs to be one person in charge of that that ensures it's being done. Somebody needs to be tasked. If you don't have a person in charge, you've got everybody in charge, so nobody's in charge.
But we don't have policy either. We don't have
And
anything
you
in
have
the book.
policy.
Well, we,
And
we,
you need something like
we-
this to.
we do have policy overall for the county, but this needs to be reinforced.
yeah.
So, what I was gonna ask the court, if we would task the policy committee to come up with okay, like,
I'm more stringent.
yeah, something a little bit better than this. Something to label, storage date, retention date, destruction date,
Who does
and then put on there, if those are records for life, put on their life. We can't get rid of these things.
And that the retention,
That's just it, we can, because I've been trying real hard.
Mhm.
Some of that stuff that's over there that I wasn't sure what was over there, it's my old taxes. And I can get rid of them, I just have to scan them. I have to have some kind of electronic backup. If I do it electronic, we can scan them and shred them. As soon as I scan stuff, I shred. But, you know, it's got to
A
the
lot,
point where I
yeah.
can't afford to scan, so it's kind of at a standstill. When we first took over the old jail, I remember, I didn't want to go over there because there was no air conditioning and it had to be a certain day. But Judge Moreno fixed all that and the rest of the commissioners point at that time. And so we went over there and everything was in a proper manner when we first put it out there. Then Hurricane Harvey came and the windows blew or whatever, and then there was a big, something to do at the Coliseum where they collected clothes or something like that. And then they didn't know where to store all this leftover clothes, and it was taken to where now some of my stuff is, and that's why there's clothes on top of my closet. So,
I think,
that's really what happened, that I can remember.
and I think what Commissioner Frias is trying to say is, documents are one thing.
Yeah.
The other items need to be separated, and those need this right here. Documents are one thing. Documents are easy because you have this policy here, and generally y'all follow that policy. Y'all have followed it for years.
department,
Well,
not all
not
departments.
all, I realize.
No.
And then
We had stacks of old books,
Oh, gosh, yeah, and computers.
computers, but we had stacks of books from JP's.
Yeah.
From all their court records and everything. So we took care of that.
Yeah.
But I think there's two separate lines here. There's one, which is the documents, which are necessarily fall under here, and all departments need to follow that. But I think what we're looking at is, it's like, I don't need this furniture, let's go put it somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't need it, let's give it to Veronica, let her put it on there, and we'll sell it out.
Well, they're even starting to put furniture in the Toledo Street jail too.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, Veronica Saldana, I'm in the auditor's office.
So you get the
I have a
pen.
feeling she's gonna say something that's gonna make everybody happy, right?
That's-
That's what that sigh was.
Well,
Here she comes to solve our problem.
so, no, definitely, like Commissioner Hager said, there are two separate issues here, and I am, a part of, in charge of the fixed assets. And so I do want to make clear, like, as far as there are electronics and things like that that are at that building, it's just, when somebody calls, when the department calls the auditor's office and says, hey, I have this leftover stuff, like, I don't need it, I got new stuff, we have a section that we put it in. But if they're just calling John and saying, hey, come get it, and they're not telling me, I don't have inventory of it, so I don't know what's over there. And so we have a company that comes from Jacksonville, Texas, I think, and they pick up our electronics for free. but I have to have a certain kind of electronic, like towers, things like that, because they dispose of everything. So when I went to the building the other day, there was stuff in our area, the auditor's area, that I wasn't familiar with. So, which led me to go and look at the, you know, the other areas of furniture and things like that. We can't get rid of it because it is good to have like great desks and things like that, just in case something breaks, but not an abundance of it. I mean, it is like, becomes storage. I saw doors there that came from an old bank. I mean, so it's things like that. We can definitely, I don't have a problem having an inventory, and I do have most of the inventory, but some of it was left off my list because, again, there's no communication between departments. And that is a big thing. That's all it is. It's communicating to the auditor's office, hey, I have a fixed asset. Is it on the inventory? If not, what can I do with it? And that is apart from the retention, which is also something that the auditor's office has a part of. But so I just wanted to, you know, so the departments understand, like, it's not, you know, that we don't want you to put it there. It's just, we just need to know what's there. So we know where to filter it out.
Follow plan, a good policy to do it. Also, they're calling John up and not going through a work order to your office and just call, hey, John, I have boxes or I have this, can you go store it over there? Well, he'll accommodate that and he'll do it, but it's not following the right
It's a
channel.
paper trail.
You know, that way, there's obviously have a list or an itemized list of what's going on. So the work orders for everybody to send John over there should be, you know, paramount to get this going.
John, don't do anything unless you have. And anybody that wants to complain about how that isn't gonna work, you can call 361-621-1556 and set up a meeting. Schedule a meeting to meet with me. Yeah, come on, everybody. We can be better than this.
But.
Yeah, what was that you're holding?
The retention schedule for the district clerk's office.
Okay, so from the
But if you
law
give
library?
me money, if you give me money to scan, I'll give.
Another item.
Hold on.
Slow down.
I want quotes, I want quotes. Did you get quotes?
Yes, we're working on it.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
no,
Yeah, this
we're
is not
working.
yeah, this is something that's a
We're
little
working.
pet project of
And they can-
all of ours,
and
that
they
we
can
wanna
put
get
the
these
shredding
documents going.
right behind the building, as you
Yeah,
scan thread, scan thread.
shredding, and we do,
There's
we
a chute
definitely
that
have
runs down out of your
we
office
have
into that
somebody
truck.
for all of
Yeah.
that. We have somebody
But-
that will come and do that.
Yes, we need to get on that, because if this courthouse ever fails, it's going to be because documents from the fourth floor fall through the ceiling, which fall through the third floor, the second floor, the first floor, destroy the entire courthouse. We're drowning in paper. Huh?
You'll get a new building out of it.
No.
We're probably
No,
getting
you'll
a
have
big
to rebuild
committee
this.
that's gonna try to build our office.
So could we task the policy committee to come up with a guideline for?
I think that's a great idea, and I listening to, Veronica, listening to the commissioners, listening to April, it sounds like, it's a process that will necessitate our, elected officials and department heads, to make sure that they work both with the auditor's office and with John when they have some additional things that they need to store, that they can't go one place without the other. And certainly if they go to the auditor's office isn't going to say, yeah, we'll be right by to pick it up. So the auditor's office will, out of necessity, engage with Mr. Izagiri, for assistance with moving things. So maybe the auditor's office needs to be the primary point of contact with respect to storage of that, which would also provide Mr. Izagiri with a easy backstop when somebody says, hey, I just want you to come pick up this computer tower, just store it for a couple days because we've got this urgent thing that we have to take care of, so we can't follow this policy because it's just, it's taking away from the efficient, execution of county, obligations. And you can say, hey, I'm sorry, you gotta start with the auditor's office so that we can log it and make sure everything's correct. So that might be the best way to provide him with some support, because it is difficult when, one of our friends, coworkers, an elected official or department head calls you and asks you just to do something really quick, and then we can figure it out later. So thank y'all for all that insight into the policy committee. I think you got a good start on the policy just with the agenda item itself, but certainly there's a lot more. Are you? Okay, well, look at that.
Candy, Mr. Willow, Mr. Castillo.
No, thank y'all in
Veronica.
advance, because this is an important issue. It truly is. Yes, sir, Mr. Willow?
I hate to bother you on this issue, but with the computers, I know when I worked with the Fed, we would always have to take the computers we're gonna get rid of give them to the IT department so they can be gouged any sensitive information. So I'm thinking,
our vendor does that. But yes, everything goes off of the list that IT provides for us. But yes, we have vendors that give us, documentation about destruction.
Or good comment though, thank you, Mr. Willow. Is there anything further?
Motion is to task the policy committee to come up with guidelines for storage and retention at the old jail.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, any further discussion? Thank you all in advance for your work, and thank you for your participation today, everybody that gave us insight into this. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception, although we're not gonna do it. Can we move it to another precinct? No.
Not the agenda.
No.
That won't work?
Yeah, good try. I feel like we accomplished something this morning, agenda item. I know that we don't actually have to do any of the heavy lifting, so, that makes me feel even better, about this solution that we've just crafted. Moving on, agenda item number 11, accept resignation of B County Commissioner Ken Haggard, Precinct 4, from the B Area Partnership Board. Commissioner Haggard, I'll give you the floor on this one.
Yeah, I submitted a letter to the Commissioners Court effective today. I will be terminating my position in the B Area Partnership as the B County representative in this, at this area. And I would thank everybody for the privilege to serve this. Again, it was a great honor, and it brings in a lot of necessary things here. I think that the B Area Partnership is a fine organization, and I still think it does need to be represented by, since we have a major stake in it.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Haggard, and thank you for your service on the board. Were you there when the board was founded or shortly
Yes,
thereafter?
I was actually before it, when it was at the beginning process.
It's been a success for the region and certainly for our county, so thank you for your effort.
Every member on there is a contributing member. I mean, it's just, you'll find that the ideas that flow in that room are they're just continuously all the way around. It's a never-ending process. And their commitment to help the B County as a whole. So,
I'll move to accept Commissioner Haggard's resignation.
I have a motion, do I have a second? Second. I have a motion and a second, I'm sure both with regrets.
Well, and with appreciation for the work you did, because I know it's extra and it's nice and weekend sometimes, and thank you very much, sir.
well, I didn't get to go overseas like somebody in the Well,
It was a hassle.
I
It was a hassle.
I understand.
It was a, the sacrifice I was willing to do.
I couldn't get my visa in time.
But
Do you want to see pictures?
Oh, no, I got pictures. He sent them to me all the time. No, honestly, I do commend the judge for going over there, because that was one of the, probably the first and biggest, accomplishment of the B Area Partnership. And as Commissioner Pettis just, announced, that's even more coming. Just when you bring in, it was stated to me by an old judge out of, San Pedro County, once you can bring in one big one, the little ones tend to want to follow, and that's what's happening now. So, you'll find it, without giving out any information, there are numerous, there's probably 85 to 100 hits that we get from the state and locals and everything else. Unfortunately, there are areas that we can't do. We don't have rail. We have an airport, we have a small airport, but we don't have rail. We have highways, but there are certain things, infrastructure and things like that that has to come later on. But as you build as that. But most of us remember we did have a rail line here. To get a rail line here it's to this day, it's very, very costly. I think it's about $750,000 a mile, or $750 million a mile, or $750,000 a mile.
Yeah.
Is what it is for every model rail that you want to bring. So wherever you're coming from, there's huge investment. So anyway, but again, thank you very much for the opportunity to serve on that committee.
Sure. Thank you, Commissioner Haggard. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Agenda Agenda item number 12, approve appointment of B County Judge George B. Morrill III to the BAP Board to replace Commissioner Haggard as B County's representative. I have this as your motion, as your agenda item.
Yes.
Commissioner Haggard.
In talking to the judge, he is more than willing to join this committee. I think he is instrumental in this, to look at it. Being, of course, a businessman himself, he will have two sides of the coin to look at. So my recommendation is to appoint the Judge Morrill as a BAP board member to represent B County.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Thank you, Commissioner Haggard. I do think this would be important, and I've been here for a few years now. I feel like I have my legs under me. I'd like to remain close to the process that's going on at BAP. So I appreciate that. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Agenda item number 13, approve request to close 4th Street in Skidmore from East St. Mary's Street to East Rivirio Street on August 6th, 2022, from the Skidmore Volunteer Fire Department for their back-to-school fair. Commissioner Haggard?
Yes, this one came to me late. I want to thank Candy for throwing this in there under the radar right before the closing time. But we received a request from the Skidmore Fire Department that they want to hold a back-to-school fair. So they're wanting to block off the street from the water board out to their fire station. It's basically the same thing they do every year for their annual barbecue. So it's the same street. Talked to Ray. Ray's going to set out everything. I think this is a very good idea for back-to-school fair. I think there'll be games and there'll be other things going on. I don't know that anybody's here from that department. These two, okay. If they would like to add something to this, I would make a motion to approve this request.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. Gentlemen, would you have anything you'd like to add?
We just wanted to make it safe for the kids to cross the street without having to worry about cars passing through. So that's why we're requesting to go big close. I appreciate that.
Thank you, sir. Is there any way I could ask y'all to wait till the end of the meeting? I'd like to speak with y'all on an unrelated matter, on a good thing. If y'all don't mind, it shouldn't take more than 2 minutes, y'all. Commissioner Haggard as well. Thank y'all so much. Thank you for your presence here this morning. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Agenda item number 14, approve Beeville Independent School District resolution designating the B County Tax Assessor Collector to levy and collect taxes as per the 2022 resolution. This is largely ministerial.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Agenda item number 15, approve Skidmore Independent School District resolution designating the B County Tax Assessor Collector to levy and collect taxes as per the 2022 resolution.
Move to approve.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Agenda item number 16, approve Pettis Independent School District resolution designating the B County Tax Assessor Collector to levy and collect taxes as per the 2022 resolution.
Approve. Second.
I have a motion to approve in a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Just an aside question.
Sure.
I noticed Pawnee is not on here.
Not yet, yeah.
Okay, did they decide not to do it, or they just hadn't gotten it in?
They just haven't gotten it in,
Okay.
I believe. It's largely ministerial,
Okay.
so we might just remind them. We might give it a little bit later. All those opposed? Motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Yes, ma'am? They're aware.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I will contact them. Thank you, Kenny.
Agenda item number 17, approved groundwater drainage agreement between B County and Griffith family for the Griffith Drainage Project Agreement located off County Road 519 in Skidmore, Texas, as per Texas Transportation Code Section 254.005, authority to provide drainage by road and bridge, Vernon, 2004, which is the statute. Mr. Gonzalez, you're here this morning. We do have the agreement in the packet.
Yes,
Give us any information. Yes, sir.
Ray Gonzalez, Road Administrator. Good morning, everyone. What it is, it's an area that we've got
continuously been doing some drainage work on. Last year, we had the Rodriguez family where we had that drainage agreement. And what it is, we're trying to rush water through there and try to get it across our county roads, so it doesn't back up and cause any flooding to the people living there. So it's just, something to, it's not diverting water anywhere or getting it around, and just getting it through there faster and out of the water ditches and keep it from backing up and causing problems. I'd like the court to approve as presented.
Move to approve with comment?
I have a motion and a second. Commissioner Haggard, you have?
Yes, for those of you that don't know, this is behind the old roundup, all of that area back in there. Ray said he used to fish back there, so evidently there's a pond somewhere. But what most of you that haven't gone down that road lately, there are a lot of people moving in. That area has become more populated than it was in the past. There has been a huge amount of drainage work being done. Problem is, you can only move the water so far, and the Griffins have been more than, or the Partlows,
Yes.
I'm sorry, the Partlows have been very,
Well, Griffith, but.
yeah,
Fargo.
Griffin Ranch, but it's Partlows. But they've been more than, able to work with us to move the water further across their property. So they're just kind of a relief site. And so, yeah, I think it's a great idea. I think it'll bring more homes, people wanting to build back in there, because it takes care of that area plus Pavich Road, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly,
it gets
because
it
it
off
comes across.
our roadways
Yeah.
faster.
And most of you know that water doesn't come from Skidmore, it comes from Tynan and elsewhere, farmland back in
We
there.
send it to you from up north.
Yeah, it all comes north, I
We
know
send
that.
all we
Yeah,
can to you.
I know.
You have a major creek, the Rata, whatever, Rata Creek, it goes right through the middle of Sims and 519. That's a creek we're trying to kind of get off our road.
I will add that with this GLO grant that I'm working on, actually, it's not even a grant, it's just money coming from GLO. This will help Ray in the drainage, more so that if it comes to fruition, Ray won't have to do it with his people. He'll just have to sign a contract with a contractor to do the work, and it'll be done there, and it'll alleviate him to do a lot more road work and other things. So, there's many projects that Ray has that I have talked about. Since you guys will not quit sending water, Ray and I have to do something about moving the water.
We'd like a little back, we'd like a little
Or
back
Mr.
right now.
Oliveris, I need to help Mr. Oliveris out as much as I can to get the water out of there, because his phone's fixing to get very, very busy.
They'll have them on speed dial.
But that's it, that's my comment, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other discussion? I know I speak for all the commissioners here when I say thank you to Mr. Partlow and to the Griffith family for their continuing cooperation with the county in this effort. So thank y'all for that. There's no further discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. And thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Agenda item number 18, approve engagement letter between B County and Singleton and Clark for fiscal year 2022 audit. This is housekeeping.
So moved.
Got a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Agenda item number 19, approve Secure Tech Systems, Inc. proposal for installation of panic alarm strobe lights in the courthouse. We have Deputy Solis here. This is her agenda item. It's really, I guess, my agenda item, but Deputy Solis has been running a point on this. Basically, she's done everything. Deputy Solis, I guess in a general overview, if you could briefly, and I'm happy to do it if you don't want to, explain how this became something that we were even looking at and why you think this is the right solution for us at this time.
As you all know, times have changed. And times are continuing to change, not for the better. Looking at Texas court security incidents, it has like doubled since 2019 and 2021. In 2019, I'll start off a little bit and then we'll go on to what I need to do. In 2019, in courthouses in the state of Texas, the public areas, there's been incidents. In 2019, it was 125. In 2021, that doubled to 236 incidents happened in the public area of the courthouse. As we all know, we put in new panic alarms, so it now comes out text messages, but not everybody opts to get the text message. So now, what I'm asking for is it's a strobe light. It sits on a desk in any counter or any office, which I'm asking for 11, because there's 11 offices in the county courthouse. And it uses a regular plug. We plug it in, so when an alarm goes off, you will be notified automatically because it's going to start strobing the blue light. So that's what that's for. Plus, if you can't have your cell phone on you at work or whatever the incident may be. It also wears, it lets people know that something's going on and people should be locking doors. Also, it alerts the public if they're in a certain office that something's going on, so they're aware that they need to remain there until we clear it.
Let me jump in real quick, Deputy Salas. So a couple weeks ago, we had an incident that one of our employees felt very concerned, justifiably so, and depressed the panic alarm. It was the first time we'd had a real panic alarm issue. We had a district judge in the courthouse. One of the issues that we're working on trying to make sure that all of our county employees, elected officials, department heads understand is that when there's a district judge in the courthouse, or when I'm on the bench, or when any judge is here on the bench, the role of a bailiff is to protect that judge. The role of the bailiff isn't to go find what the problem is somewhere else in the courthouse and see if they can solve that problem. The role is to protect the judge, and it's a firm position. We're fortunate here in B County with the B County Sheriff's Office and the deputies that we have, the bailiffs that we have. They're deputies, but they're also bailiffs for us, in that they do perform both roles. But in the event of a conflict, if there's a judge in the building, our bailiffs aren't available. They're not courthouse security. And from a financial standpoint, we call that fund courthouse security, but it's not courthouse security. That's not their primary role when there's a district judge or another judge on the bench in the courthouse. And so the panic alarm was depressed. There was a judge in the courthouse. The judge allowed the bailiff to go and check and see what the situation was. We can't rely on that happening. Usually when a judge is on the bench, any animosity is going to be in the entire courthouse is going to be generated from something that is occurring, or there's a fear of occurring on the bench. This is a very justifiable concern. That's why bailiffs exist, right? That was allowed, and one of the things that they noticed is that once the panic alarm was depressed, all of our computers set up the alarm, so if an employee was on the computer, the alarm would come up on their desktop. If they had signed up for the text messaging, by the way, it's not too late. You can always reach out to Deputy Salas or Deputy Pointer. You can reach out to Deputy Pointer, or you can reach out to Deputy Salas. We'll get you in touch with Deputy Pointer. Is that the right way? To get your cell phone number on the system so that you will receive these alerts. One of the a little concerning things, and it will make sense here in a second, is that when that alarm was depressed, when people realized there was an issue, an altercation in the courthouse, curiosity overcame concerns for personal safety, and that's very normal. We're all the same way. We always, what is Chief Smith? I don't know. Whatever's going on, we all want to know what it is. But in the case of a situation like this, in a public building where you're having an altercation, wanting to know what's going on could get you in very big trouble for your own safety. And so the idea is silent alarm may not be enough to let everybody know this is dangerous. Stay where you are. We don't need additional assistance in the hallway if there's something going on. God forbid there's somebody that is looking to cause harm, with a weapon of some kind. If you go into the hallway, you are basically jumping up and down, raising your hand, saying, hey, me first. So, we are working on a program. This is getting a little off topic, but this is the genesis of why this is before us this morning. And this is a great opportunity for me to say things, so I don't have to write a letter to everybody about it that nobody's going to read. This is a good way for us to get started thinking about, okay, when a panic alarm is depressed, what do we do? In the county judge's office, what is step one? What do we do? Do we close the main door and lock it? If there's visitors in the hallway, do we bring them into our office and do we lock it? Do we go into one office? What do we do? I can tell you what we don't do. We don't stick our head out of the front door. We don't grab our cell phones and go try to record it. We shelter and we try to keep ourselves safe because we don't know if the bailiffs are available to provide any type of courthouse security. So the goal is let's keep ourselves safe and alive. We've got lots of walk-in I'm going to say safe again. What's the word for vaults? We have vaults in many offices. We have places where we have windows that you may be able to climb out of. It can be silly, but it's very serious. And if you engage in some life-saving, personal life-saving effort for something that turns out to be not really that dangerous, that's a much better result than if you end up preventing something from getting resolved, injuring yourself, injuring others as a result of you unintentionally inserting yourself into a conflict. I'd say let's go for the first one. Let's just keep ourselves safe as best as possible. Stay out of the way of the individuals. Because when that panic alarm is depressed, Sheriff's Office gets the alarm, Beeville Police Department gets the alarm. Any law enforcement officer, correct me if I'm wrong, any law enforcement officer from anywhere that has a computer that's within 200, 300, how many feet of the courthouse?
We don't have a computer,
Oh, we don't have that?
but as far as law enforcement, anybody who's on our channel,
Yeah.
or scanning our channel, will hear the alarm go off.
Okay.
There
So-
was notification.
Yeah, or the text. So everybody knows. So and like I said, the Sheriff's Office and Deputy Salas, were working on, going through this process of some individualized training, so that we can make sure, using these recent experiences, so that we can make sure that, if something bad does happen in the future, we are all working collectively, in the same direction to minimize damage, loss of life. So this strobe light concept is, hey, maybe somebody in the office doesn't have their cell phone on them, doesn't see the computer screen, they'll see a blue flashing light that causes them, it's very disruptive, so it will give them an idea that something bad is going on. That's the genesis of it. Deputy Salas, I cut you off. You have any?
There is other options, I mean, we have the strobe light, we're just doing strobe light, that's what I'm asking for. It does have one that has strobe light with horn, so it's like a siren. Of course, comes down the cost a little bit more. Now, if you wanted those, you have that option. And then you also have the option for the computers. So anybody on the county computer, it'll pop up an alert.
So we don't have that.
We don't have that. We just have the text message.
Now, question, how much more is the one with the audible horn as well as the strobe light?
The audible horn will cost $7,025.
So it's about $800 more roughly.
Yeah, I believe so. I don't have it.
Well,
I think the other one was
I know where you're going.
Yeah.
The audible will actually diffuse a lot faster when they hear audibles going out throughout the courthouse. It's like, okay, everybody knows I'm here, I'm out of here, and they, lose them out of the building. I think that's where you're going.
That's exactly where I'm going.
Yeah.
Judge, I'd recommend we look at this option with the audible. If we're gonna do it, let's do it right.
Excellent. Can we go back to, and thank you for that, and I don't disagree with y'all at all, and I'll entertain a motion in a second on that.
No problem.
When we bought this system, we didn't get the module for computer?
No,
I thought that was part
I
of the
thought we
sale.
did,
It
I
was
thought we did
additional.
too.
It was additional fee, just the,
Let's make sure we look at this, April, today
Sure.
or tomorrow.
I did too, but I think we went with column B instead of column A.
And that's okay. I mean, if not, we might need to reconsider it and look at it again.
For that one, it's additional $3,350 for the pop-up alarm module is on the computer.
That's a one-time payment?
It's a software, which would require just from IT.
We'll look at it, we'll bring it back to Commissioner's Court if we haven't already acquired it, at our next regular.
Is this a budget amendment or a line item transfer? or what is
It's an LIT and general fund, BA going over to 17. Yes, we pulled, money from sheriff's salary.
Or could we just add it into next year's budget?
Well, no, because, I believe this isn't, you want this now.
Yeah.
We told them that.
Either one.
There's
But we
money
can
there.
pull more
Yeah, there's money
money,
there.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
The
fine.
$800 more with the horn. I'd entertain a motion.
My motion would be to, go with the recommendation from the bailiff with the, security system, including the strobe light and the audible.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, further discussion?
With the horn right behind Judge's desk.
Right behind my desk?
Not behind the desk, because he'll jump out the window.
That is my.
That does not include Commissioner's office.
No,
Y'all.
that's, the audible, we'll take care of with the audible.
Like the plaster off the wall.
We didn't have to make a big point of that, but just the deputy solid. Clear,
Yeah.
she excluded from the strobe and horn system each of the commissioners' offices, but not mine, thank you, deputy.
I don't believe our
I like
window's
it.
open. We'd have to break the glass.
But I've got a safe in my bank door too.
No, it's a very serious issue, thank you for your efforts.
It is.
Deputy Point Receptor.
And I do plan to have a department head meeting with all departments in the courthouse. And then from there, we'll probably schedule some training throughout the courthouse. And we'll be evacuating more.
So you'll have the
We have
adjusted numbers for
evacuation
the
drill tomorrow.
motion?
What's that?
She'll have the adjusted numbers for this.
Because I noticed in the deal, it has, on-site setup and training, so,
Right, but now you're gonna add.
right, we're gonna add the audible.
No, she has a quote for,
She has,
for with the audible option.
she's got it for the, auditor.
What's the total?
You wanna
number
read
for
that
the
total?
motion?
$7,025.
So the motion would include the $7,025 for both sides.
So that's an amended motion, do I have an amended second?
Second.
I have an amended second.
Thank you.
And I think I heard Deputy Salas mention, that we're going to have something tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Tomorrow, Dynamite will be doing their annual inspection
Okay.
and kind of give y'all a little heads up. When you hear fire alarm go off, you need to evacuate.
Okay,
That goes to Justice Center too.
okay, so Justice Center and Courthouse, when the fire alarm goes off tomorrow, it is not a test, it's a test, it's not a test. I mean, it's a real test. Yes, sir, Mr. Willis?
Does everybody know where, like, they,
That's
We'll
the,
find
that's
out
the
tomorrow.
point of it tomorrow.
holy, okay,
So they're rally point, or they're on?
No videos.
Read your emergency plan. You should know your emergency plan.
Folks, we're gonna get this lined out, and we're gonna get it done quickly. Deputy Salas and Deputy Moyer are really on top of it, so thank you all for that.
What's that noise?
Any further discussion?
Where's my phone?
Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Deputy Salas. Agenda item number 20, approved standard alarm sales monitoring service contract between Dynamart Security Centers and B County for cameras at the Expo Center. This we discussed during the budget meeting. These are, Deputy Salas, how many additional cameras is this?
Where and how many?
This is just for the monitoring, this is the service contract, this isn't the installation of the cameras out at the Expo?
Well, the installation was already,
We've already done that?
But how many are going to the expo? I'm trying to remember, because there was the 3 departments.
I believe, community affairs was having 9, and I believe Expo was getting 11 or 12. Don't quote me on it, but it's something.
And then the courthouse, the
And then
stairwell.
additional ones in the courthouse.
I think
The service
4,
contract is because they're not part of the courthouse already,
Okay,
so we need
And
to
they don't have
start the
anything out there.
contract for the Expo and the community affairs, because those are new.
okay, so they're new, so there'll be some additional, but but they're gonna be able to tie into your control center here at the courthouse.
But the only question I have, it shows that purchase price, $47.73. We're buying something. And then it says service agreement, $76. From what I'm reading on.
49.50.
Yeah.
That's what I've seen on the proposal I got back to, I didn't write that number.
Yeah, no, we need to look into that, because we already had the camera placement.
We already have the-
We already have that one, and this is just for the monitoring, so if there's anything additional, we'll have to look into that.
Yeah, if you read down, it says a 47.73.50 is plus tax is for installation and programming of the communication system.
So maybe that's installation into our
I
system.
got you.
I think that's the initial
That's
setup,
where it is.
It's showing us the purchase price, but it's,
And then the $76 monthly.
okay.
to set it up.
Yeah, it's down, that's what the purchase is.
Where's that coming from?
17 and courthouse security fund, really the general fund.
Okay, I see it now. For the installation programming of the,
Yeah.
communications. Okay.
Yeah, if it's
I
not
stand
already
corrected.
installed.
It's just verbiage.
And so this will, with that, because that one wasn't, in the, LIT BA that I have here, so that'll be additional also with the above, the previous agenda item.
So the amount we're approving is $48.49.50. Is that correct? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Total, $48.49.50.
Yes, sir.
Do we have a motion, sir?
I do not have a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve this in the amount of $48.49.50.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do I have a second? Second. I have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Agenda item number 21, American Rescue Plan, ARP, status and projects. Commissioner DeWitt, Commissioner Levy, y'all have the floor.
Commissioners, some interesting situations have arisen since we met last on the ARP project. One thing that's come up is additional funds needed for the, program that's going on in Pettis. $18,000 to pay the, engineers?
11.
11,000.
11,000.
But then we find out we may not be able to do that. Is that where we are?
No, not that we're not able, that she's still working on it.
Okay.
So my recommendation would be for us to go ahead and fund it out of the ARP, because I think more probable than not, it will be. But if we expend it, we can always pull it out. I mean, we've done that before, so.
If you would, Judge, and the ARP committee has met online on this, and we had a consensus of approval.
Do you have a, like, program number or something specific on the Pettis program to make part of the motion? Make it specific.
Do you have that program number, or anything? That's on the, lift station? It's on the generator, the engineering on the generator?
Oh, the grant number,
Yeah, I mean, if you don't, I just something specific, something.
it's the grant number ending with C056. Pettis Mud and TLO grant,
And the amount of $11,000?
11,018.
So my motion to the court is to approve that, pending final approval from Angela. If it's not approved, we'll go in a different direction. That way, if it's approved, we can go ahead and pay it out of the ARP money.
Okay, let's go ahead and motion in a second. Yeah, go ahead.
I would recommend that we pay it, our engineers
Okay.
have already
And then we,
incurred
If we need to
the service.
reimburse.
right, we
Yes.
go ahead and pay and we reimburse from ARP
Yes.
money.
I have
That's my
an
recommendation.
amended motion, I have an amended second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Please proceed.
The next item we have, several weeks ago, it came before us about replacing as an emergency the air conditioning units at the Coliseum. They're going out. We were under the impression that the cost of installation and labor was going to run around $70,000, so the motion we made was to approve up to $70,000. We found out that the size that was bid was incorrect. The bid has now come back, it's $173,000. And that is for a company to buy it and install it with a, is it a 35-week possible,
Was that one?
35 weeks for it to come in? So Ms. Grace got another bid, and we got another company to supply the equipment only for $62,000. 63,000, with the same 25 to 35 week lag time. We're in the process of having a local bid come in to install that $62,000 system.
Well, yes,
Michael, it they're on our, so Judge, I don't know how we need to proceed with this, but it is an emergency. I hate to tie up $173,000. We don't know yet when we're gonna get anything back for you. I'm sorry?
36. No, weeks.
Weeks.
36
Weeks.
weeks.
I said months, I'm sorry, it's weeks.
Okay.
So I misspoke.
So we've, the idea is to accept a bid for one entity to acquire the equipment at 62,000. And the time frame, the lead time on that is still,
Yes,
35 weeks,
25 to 35 weeks.
25 to 35 weeks.
And then have a local, contractor install it, if they can. They're,
If they can, yeah,
they're,
we're
they're,
still
they're
waiting.
checking with the company now.
Do we know, and I know y'all done this, but just for my own edification, did we try different manufacturers of equipment? Is this a sort of like there's just Train or there's just Carrier?
Yes, there's, I don't know what the AccuAir is a Carrier. I think we're just going with Carrier, because it is a Carrier.
Okay.
Great. Did we reach out to Bill Harris, because he had some connections with it, when we're doing repair on the jail? He might
We
have a
can.
quicker,
Bill Harris?
Bill Harris might
And they
have,
are part of a co-op,
might-
Veronica has that
he
information.
might shed some light on it and might be able to get something a little quicker than what we're talking
We
about
have the
here.
vendor, Veronica has the vendor.
Well, we're hoping Schmeichel is gonna also, bid on this to install or buy and install, and maybe he may have a quicker.
Right, we're trying to get them, see if they can find the same equipment and bring it in and install it. Can we do this, Judge, kind of put this on hold, and if we get some firm information, we can come back with another meeting?
Absolutely, yeah, if we need
72 hours
to
or
for, yeah, we can.
Because there's nothing here that I can put a nail in.
That's fine. Yeah, no, thank you for bringing it to
I
our
know
attention.
Gracie's been doing a great job, but the thing that we're seeing with almost everything we're doing now, not only is it going up exponentially in price, but then the timeline to get it in is being
going
extended.
crazy, yes.
So I think what that's telling us as personal consumers, if there's something you're going to do, you better take a look at it and see if it's available and see if they even do it and when it's gonna get there.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that we need to bring before the court from ARP committee? And let's schedule a meeting after the meeting today.
I have a meeting with the judge, but that's fine, because, this is all that we have
Yeah,
as far as I know.
But do call Mr. Harris, he might be able to shed some light on this.
Okay.
And then, Judge, we'll keep the court informed and get with you if something comes up and we get something firm we can bring back.
Perfect. Thank y'all very much for all that you do.
That's all I have, sir.
Excellent.
Ms.
Thank
Liddy, you have anything? Vice Chair? Grace?
No.
Madam Auditor?
No, I think we're good.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Moving on, agenda item number 22, update, discussion, and possible action regarding B County COVID-19 status preparedness and contingency planning. We have our COVID-19 disaster mitigations coordinator specialist extraordinary, Mr. Willow.
Victim.
Victim. We're very glad that he's back.
No victim compensation.
Yeah,
You need to actually have it so you know how you.
that's right. Yeah, that's part of it.
It's a booger. That's all I can say. Some disturbing news. B County is noted to be in the top 50 of the most cases per capita for COVID for this year. We are number 47 out of 254 counties. So the good thing, you know, the silver lining, we have 0 in the hospital with COVID. So what's helped everybody is booster, the vaccination, and it's helped. So there's 2-3 more variants coming through, you know. Also, it's not going away. Commissioner DeWitt and I were talking about it earlier. COVID's here to stay, and I'm venturing to say, I hear it talking on the news and everything, there's probably going to be if not an every year vaccination like the flu, you might have to get boosters every 6 months. So the CDC is not putting nothing out yet, but if you're eligible for the second booster shot, by all means take it. Looking at the Commissioner's Court, 3 of you are all right. over 65, you need to get it. If you have any health issues, respiratory issues, diabetics, obese, you need to get it. Okay, maybe there's
I
more.
heard what he said.
They're wondering who the two are.
I didn't want to put anybody in the.
I resemble that remark.
2 out of 3. But no, it's a tolerable disease right now because of the booster and that, but we have people that work for the county that had COVID over 4 times, 4 or more.
I have a question on that. If a person has it 4 times, is that counted as 4 COVIDs or 1?
4 different ones, if it's a different episode.
So that would
Different variants.
Changes your numbers.
change the number,
Yeah.
okay.
And the thing is, people do the home testing,
They don't report it.
they don't report it if they're positive. So so you can't find an exact number of how many cases. But before, we could at least track it with some sort of validity to it, but now the reported cases are the ones that got us to number 47 out of the top 50.
Who are they reported to? Your office?
No, sir, please no. That would be the Department of State Health Services.
Okay, so if I take a home test and I call State Health Services, so it's counted as a COVID, positive COVID.
Right. But some people say, but I don't tell them, they don't know, so I can go do what I gotta do, which is highly,
Let me interject something, and I don't like to throw family into it. My youngest got it last week, and he's not vaccinated, he's not boosted, he's nothing. You do not want to be A5 without something. He was down. I mean,
Is it okay now?
he's fine, he's fine. We all got together this weekend, but I mean, all last week, he couldn't move, back pain, everything else. He's 30-something years old, so I will say you need something. Either it's 1, 2, a booster, 2 boosters, that's fine. I mean, I'm boosted in double vax, but then we still do the same thing everybody else does. We maintain the distance. There's all kinds of articles on the news. I mean, this works, this don't work, this, that. Do what's necessary. It's, treat it as you would the flu. Do the same thing.
and one thing that's been constant from the beginning till today, mask up, wash your hands, social distancing. And if you look around, you see people holding discussions a little bit farther away. So it's almost being integrated in everybody's social. But it's going, and then the World Health Organization is calling the monkeypox now not an epidemic, but an emergency. So, and I have not heard of any reported cases in Bean County yet. So,
Let's keep monkeypox
Yes, please.
out of Bean County.
yeah. So, any other questions?
Commissioners, thank you, Mr. Willow. Moving on, we have no executive session today, so, agenda item number 13. That wastes my time.
Go down that road again.
Let's just start over. Agenda item number 23, adjournment. Do I have a motion?
Motion to it.
Second. I've got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Y'all wait for me to.
I made the motion, but.
Motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for your time today.